you talked about radiotherapy, you talked about chemotherapy, and talking about targeted therapy. So targeted therapy is something very unique in the sense where you've actually gone for all three. So based on your experience with targeted therapy, what type of targeted therapy you went through, and it's not cheap as well. So how did you get any assistance program in this targeted therapy to help yourself?
Well, this targeted therapy is the one that my oncologist recommended to me, apart from another options that is doing chemotherapy like many other patients. And I was told that the drug was only newly released in Malaysia a year before my diagnosis. So the drug price is still high, something like 6,000 plus. That's why the doctor asked whether I have sufficient funding myself to start off the drug, assuming it can work for me for at least a year. So I said yes. So I went to that, and in fact, allow me to just elaborate a little bit more. The drug, there are actually 3 different dosage. It started off with the highest dosage one, where actually I find that I have my white blood count went down actually drastically. So I was given booster like Neupogen every now and then, and I have to go for weekly monitoring. So my white blood count went down. So after a month or 2, my doctor switched me to the medium range of medium dosage. Much better, but my white blood count still go down further from time to time. So my doctor say, still not good to be on the Neupogen booster. It's like artificial shoot up and then it came down again. So in the end, I settled with the lowest dosage of this drug. At the very beginning, I was a bit unhappy. Wow, there are 3 dosages. Why I go for the lowest one? Does it mean the lowest in efficiency? Will it still work for me? Yeah. So I have this worry. I talked to doctor. Doctor said it doesn't mean that way. It could be this one still suits me. So I went on with this. So most of the time, until today, that was like about 1.5 years after, it still works fine with me. Of course, I still have to do monitoring like every 4 to 6 months, CT scan, just to check and make sure there's nothing new discovery. Yeah, everything is still okay. Yeah, so that's how I find it helpful. And in terms of side effects, there are some, not to say entirely no, but it's so much better than chemotherapy. There's no such thing as nausea. I don't feel tired all the time, but occasionally, yes. I may have a little bit of diarrhea and all this, but it was like occasional. And then I do have these effects of putting on weight. It's a hormonal changes, I believe. And partly because I also have some spread to my bones, so I don't dare, at the beginning, I didn't really dare to move a lot or do vigorous exercise. So, so weight gain is one so-called side effect. To some people, oh yeah, you have gained weight rather than other people, chemotherapy lost a lot of weight. Isn't it something good? Yeah, it sounds good, but not really good for me as a woman, right? But anyway, still minor. So the second part is I find my hair thinning and getting drier, even sometimes my skin. Yet, as compared to chemotherapy, I think it's all manageable. Everybody who have not seen me for a while, they say, oh, you put on weight, that's all. They didn't say, oh, your hair looks not so nice as before, not so bad. Okay, so I think I can live with that. So those are the things that I think patients will have to consider, how a targeted therapy drug should be explored as an option for them, if it's the right drug for their condition, of course, because I understand mine is for ER/PR positive patient that I use this drug. Yeah.
And about the cost and things like that, are there any financial help you actually had?
Oh yeah, about a year plus after, I was told by my doctor that there's so-called a patient assistance program that can help me to reduce my financial burden, even though I can still manage. Of course, my savings going lower and lower, you know. So I signed up for that and enrolled into it. So I managed to get, in a total of 28 months, certain months free boxes. Like something started off with like buy two, free one for a few cycles. Later on, I have quite a number of free box. So eventually, it will reduce my overall financial burden in the next 2 years. And this certainly is very helpful. Yeah, and of course, I really wish this company will further reduce the price to make life easier, because a patient has to start off with their own funding first to start off to try out. So certain months, you see, So they still need to have some financial backup before starting off, even with this scheme. So that's my hope and my wish, that this scheme can be further improved and to benefit more patients that need this drug.
Okay. And your current advocacy for cancer patients, you were talking about that you actually have a group in Kuching. So let's talk a bit more about that. The group's name is called SCAN, S-C-A-N. So what does the group stand for and things like that?
All right, before we formed the group called SCAN, actually we were exposed to cancer advocacy through another society in KL, TACM. So that's how we try to learn what advocacy is about. It's not so much about patient support as to each and every individual that we come across, but into understanding current issues facing cancer patients and how we can be the voice to voice out these problems to the government. And of course, not throwing problems to government, but making them known about this problem, the data, and what possibly can be done to improve the situation through policy changes in the long run, or some better upgrading of facilities, or increase in numbers of oncologists, which is always very lacking, like in the state of Sarawak. So we decided to focus on Sarawak, but if any policy changes that benefit whole Malaysia, of course, most welcome. As of now, after the first 2 years of researching, learning and all this, we have come to a conclusion, not to say a conclusion, a short-term goal. The short term may be 3 years or 5 years down the road. One aspect of advocacy is to SOCSO reform. Because currently, I am a SOCSO scheme recipient. There's a scheme called what's the name? Invalidity Pension Scheme, which is good for late-stage cancer patients, typically advanced stage, like in my case, metastatic breast cancer. So when I applied, I got it. There will be a pension sum, not a big sum, but at least something to help the person, the patient, to to live the life a little bit better. But it's only available for stage 4 and maybe occasionally for stage 3 patients. So we thought we should use this and bring it up to the government so that it will be beneficial to all patients. I mean, all SOCSO holders who are cancer patients, regardless of stage. Because as I mentioned to you, patients from outstation, rural area, they are not as lucky as me to be staying in Kuching and get everything very easy, drive here, drive there, you get everything. So that will be a tremendous help. And if you recall back what happened to kidney patients, in the past there's not so much of help, but now it's already in the scheme that kidney patient get something, like almost automatically with medical reports. So we hope this will happen, but we have yet to have the chance to talk to the related authorities much, because the SOCSO director in Kuching, for example, or for Sarawak State, they are the execution role, so they are not the policy maker. So we have to go to the next level with more data to be collected. Yeah, hopefully something will happen in 3 to 5 years' time. And of course, SOCSO holders, not everybody is a SOCSO holder, right? Right now, government is encouraging even social entrepreneur, business entrepreneurs or self-employed people like taxi drivers to also sign up as a SOCSO member, but it's not very successful. But it's actually a starting point somewhere.
Everything needs to start somewhere.
Yeah, I have to start somewhere. Yeah, so this is one aspect we do.
Final question for you. What would be your advice for other patients like yourself who have this type of cancer? What would be your advice for them? You have beat the cancer before. I'm sure you will beat it again. But what would be your advice for patients like us?
Okay, coming back to fighting cancer, having a battle with cancer, I have been thinking of fighting cancer all this while. After having MBC for the last 2 years, to me, whether I fight cancer or not, to me is secondary. The more importantly is embrace life as it comes. To me, I will always tell people I'm a patient, I'm a woman living with MBC. So living with MBC means to say, in other extreme philosophy, is that you live in peace with whatever cancer cells you have still in the body, as long as they don't kacau you. So sometimes I prefer to do it that way, because the reality says that as of today, there's no real cure for late-stage cancer patients. while I'm still very thankful and very blessed to say that the current therapy really helps me and my disease is under control, the uncertainty will still be there. So it's nothing wrong with fight cancer, especially early stage cancer patients. The fighting spirit has to be there. The fighting spirit to live life rather than fight the cancer away, which is to me secondary. But the fighting spirit to live life fruitfully, more important. To me, never give up hope whenever situation you are in.
Now that's all we have for you on Health Matters today. Today's topic, not an easy one to talk to, not an easy one to show on TV, but it's something that you had to do. So I hope you understand more about stage 4 breast cancer or metastatic breast cancer. We talked to a doctor and also a patient to share their own personal perspectives on the issue. Please find out more online and also follow us on all our social media platforms. My name is Jishan Kumar. Thank you. Goodbye.